Thanks for watching the Council in Brief. I'm Susan Kenedy. We're here with the latest news of the Montgomery County Council. The gavel has officially been passed as Council Vice President Sidney Katz will now take over as president of the council. He was nominated by Craig Rice and elected with a unanimous vote.
I care about people's hearts, and this man has a truly genuine heart. He has a kind soul, he cares about people, and it's indicative of all the ways in which he's served our community. And so, Madam President, I'm honored to nominate Sidney Katz as our next president.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that is unanimous. Congratulations.
Well, I guess my biggest goal, and there's a lot of goals, but I guess my biggest is to make certain that economic development gets back on track in Montgomery County. And we have already started to work on it. The county executive and I have been doing a 4-business tour, and with that we'll continue as part of our process. But and I'm also very concerned about the debt in Montgomery County, and we are lowering it. We have, through government operations, and City Council member Nancy Navarro from the GO committee has been working on that as well, but we need to get ourselves back on track, and we will.
And elected to the position of Vice President, Councilmember Tom Hucker.
Please raise your hand. And that is unanimous. Congratulations.
Also this week, a historic piece of legislation adopted by the council has been signed into law, the Racial Equity and Social Justice Act, to eliminate disparities that exist here.
A pattern of disparities, persistent disparities that to this day continue. And I began to really, truly then reflect on the notion that if these were a result of structural policies and a history that had perpetuated this idea of having to grab on to power, then we needed to come together and put forth legislation, not a policy, legislation that then would be an instrument to begin to dismantle all of these persistent disparities.
The council worked throughout the year to craft this new policy, which has several goals, including establishing an Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice. For Councilmember Nancy Navarro and Council President Sidney Katz, this measure is personal.
You know that of the 5 councilmanic district, 4 are majority of color. So in reality, this is who we are. And so whether this is a fiscal responsibility legislation, because if we don't know that our resources are being invested in ways that begin to address those disparities, then it is a fiscal responsibility issue, because then we're spending money without knowing if we're getting the return on investment or addressing the issues that we need. If we don't realize that this has a major impact on our economic viability, our economic development, this is an economic imperative issue, because the majority of those children going through Montgomery County Public Schools are of color, and they're not doing so well. So what about our workforce development? What about the health of our communities? That has an impact also on the bottom line. So for those people who keep trolling my Facebook, I say that as a taxpayer, you should really want to support this legislation.
Even though they did integrate in 1956, Montgomery County was not integrated in 1956. I can see people who are shaking their heads yes with me. I would go to school with friends. Gatesburg was a small town, everybody knew everybody. I'd go to school with friends, but you couldn't go to the movies with them because it was not integrated. Montgomery County has come a long way in my lifetime, but we need to come a long way for a lot of other lifetimes.
The bill mandates racial equity training for all county employees and establishes an advisory committee with 7 county representatives and 8 public members. The bill also requires all proposed legislation have an impact statement on potential effect on minorities. The county estimates this program to ensure racial fairness will cost about $400,000 per year. Well, that does it for this edition of the Council in Brief. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kenedy.